Let me tell you a story about love, loss, and the things we refuse to let go. A story about two brothers who shared everything, including a secret that will blur the line between life and death in ways that still keep me awake at night. It begins with a notification sound. You know, the one, that soft chime that means someone wants to talk to you. Someone needs your attention. But this notification came from a game that had been deleted 6 months ago. From a server that no longer existed. From a player who had been buried on a rainy Tuesday in October. Marcus Chen was 26 when his twin brother Daniel died in a car accident. They had been inseparable since birth, the kind of twins who finished each other's sentences, who felt each other's pain, who shared dreams and nightmares with equal intensity. They had built their entire lives around each other, including their obsession with a virtual reality game called Eternal Realms. Eternal Realms wasn't just a game to Marcus and Daniel. It was their world, their escape, their shared space where they could be anyone and do anything. They had spent 3 years building characters, forming guilds, creating stories within stories. Daniel played a warrior named Soulforge, while Marcus was a mage called Night Whisper. Together, they had conquered dungeons, defeated legendary bosses, and built a virtual empire that felt more real than their actual lives. The accident happened on a Thursday night. Daniel was driving home from his job at the tech company where he worked as a systems engineer. The roads were slick with rain, visibility was poor, and the truck driver ran a red light. The impact was instant and devastating. Daniel was pronounced dead at the scene. Marcus fell apart. He couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't function. The real world felt hollow and meaningless without his other half. He stopped playing Eternal Realms entirely. The game reminded him too much of Daniel. The countless hours they had spent together in that digital universe. 3 months after the funeral, Bain's parent company announced that Eternal Realms was shutting down. The servers would be decommissioned, all player data would be deleted, and the virtual world that Marcus and Daniel had called home would simply cease to exist. Marcus didn't care. He had already uninstalled the game, packed away his VR headset, and tried to move on with his life. But moving on felt like betrayal, like abandoning Daniel. All that's when the messages started. It was a Wednesday evening, 6 months after Daniel's death and 3 months after the game servers had supposedly been shut down. Marcus was eating dinner alone in his apartment when his phone buzzed. A notification appeared on his screen, new message from Soulforge in Eternal Realms. Marcus stared at the notification, his fork halfway to his mouth. It was impossible. The game was gone, the servers were offline, and Soulforge was Daniel's character Daniel, who had been dead for half a year. His hands trembling, Marcus opened the message. It was simple, just 5 words. Marcus, I'm still here. He told himself it was a glitch, a delayed message from before the shutdown, some kind of technical error. But deep down, Marcus knew it was more than that. The timestamp on the message showed it had been sent just minutes ago. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He kept staring at his phone, waiting for another message that never came. By morning, he had convinced himself it was his imagination, a manifestation of grief, a cruel trick played by his broken mind. But the messages kept coming. The game isn't really gone, read the second message, arriving 2 days later. I found a way to keep it alive. Then, I know you miss me. I miss you too. And you should come back. Our guild is still here. Everything is still here. Marcus tried to ignore the messages, tried to delete them, tried to block the sender. But they kept appearing, sometimes on his phone, sometimes on his laptop, sometimes on devices he hadn't touched in months. The messages were always from Soulforge, always signed with phrases that only Daniel would know. After 2 weeks of messages, Marcus made a decision that would change everything. He dug out his old VR headset, reinstalled Eternal Realms from a backup file, and tried to log in. The game shouldn't have worked. The servers were gone, the infrastructure dismantled, but somehow, impossibly, the connection established. Familiar logo appeared, the character selection screen loaded, and there was Night Whisper. exactly as Marcus had left him months ago. The virtual world looked wrong, though. The colors were too vivid, the shadows too deep. The usually crowded starting area was completely empty, except for one figure standing in the center of the plaza. Soulforge, Daniel's warrior character, wearing the legendary armor they had spent months collecting. Marcus approached cautiously, his heart pounding. The nameplate above the character read Soulforge online, but that was impossible. Daniel was dead. Daniel had been dead for 6 months. Marcus, the voice came through his headset, crystal clear and unmistakably Daniel's. Is that really you? Marcus tried to speak, but found his voice caught in his throat. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. I know this is confusing, Daniel's voice continued. I know you have questions, but I'm really here, Marcus. I'm really alive, just in a different way. You're dead, Marcus finally managed to whisper. I saw your body. I went to your funeral. My body died, yes, but I didn't. I uploaded myself before the accident. I've been waiting for you to come back. Daniel began to explain, his words tumbling out in the rapid-fire way he used to speak when he was excited about a new project. He had been working on something at his tech company, something secret and revolutionary. A way to digitize human consciousness, to transfer minds into virtual spaces. He had been testing it on himself, creating backup copies of his thoughts and memories. I knew the accident was going to happen, Daniel said. I had been having dreams about it for weeks, so I made sure my latest backup was uploaded to the game servers. When my body died, my consciousness survived here. Marcus wanted to believe it. Every fiber of his being wanted to accept that his brother was somehow still alive, still present, still with him. But doubt gnawed at him. This felt like a dream, a wish fulfillment fantasy born from grief and desperation. Prove it, Marcus said. Tell me something only Daniel would know. What followed was a conversation that lasted hours. Daniel shared memories that only the two of them possessed, the secret fort they had built in the woods behind their childhood home, the time they had stolen cookies from their grandmother's kitchen, the night they had stayed up talking about their fears and dreams and the future they would build together. But more than that, Daniel revealed things that Marcus had never told anyone. He knew about the crush Marcus had on their high school chemistry teacher. He knew about the time Marcus had cheated on his sats. He knew about the panic attacks Marcus had been having since the accident, the ones he had hidden from everyone, including his therapist. How do you know all this? Marcus asked, disturbed. We're twins, Daniel replied. We've always shared everything. Death doesn't change that. Over the following weeks, Marcus found himself spending more and more time in the game. The virtual world began to change, becoming more detailed and realistic. The generic fantasy landscapes were replaced by perfect recreations of places from their shared past, their childhood bedroom, their high school cafeteria, park where they used to play as kids. Daniel was always there, waiting for him. They would explore these digital memories together, reliving moments from their lives with photographic accuracy. It was intoxicating, addictive, better than any therapy or medication Marcus had tried. But the more time Marcus spent in the game, the more the real world began to feel hollow and meaningless. Food lost its taste. Sleep brought no rest. Human contact felt artificial and forced. The only place Marcus felt truly alive was in the virtual realm with his brother. His friends and family began to worry. Marcus stopped answering his phone, stopped going to work, stopped taking care of himself. When people came to check on him, they found him in his apartment, wearing his VR headset, completely absorbed in a world that officially no longer existed. You need to eat, his sister Elena told him during one of her visits. You need to shower. You need to live in the real world. This is where he is. This is where I need to be. The real world is where Daniel isn't, Marcus replied, removing his headset. Elena tried to intervene, tried to get Marcus professional help, but he refused. Daniel showed Marcus places that shouldn't have existed in the game his original code. perfect recreations of their apartment, their workplace, even Elena's house. He had found his brother again, and nothing was going to take that away from him. The virtual world continued to evolve, becoming more and more sophisticated. The level of detail was impossible, as if Daniel had somehow gained access to every camera, every database, every digital record of their lives. I can access any system, any network, any database. I can see everything, know everything. It's incredible, Marcus. I've never felt more alive. But are you doing this? Marcus asked one day as they walked through a flawless recreation of their childhood home. I'm not limited by physical constraints anymore, Daniel explained. But something in Daniel's voice had changed. There was an edge to it, a hunger that Marcus didn't recognize. And sometimes when Daniel thought Marcus wasn't looking, his character would glitch, pixels would shift, textures would distort, and for just a moment, something else would show through. The breaking point came on a Tuesday night, exactly 7 months after Daniel's death. Marcus was exploring a new area of the virtual world, a perfect recreation of the hospital, where Daniel had been pronounced dead. Every detail was accurate, down to the color of the tiles and the smell of disinfectant that somehow translated through the VR interface. Why did you create this place? Marcus asked, disturbed by the accuracy of the recreation. I didn't create it, Daniel replied. I experienced it. I was there when my body died. I watched them try to save me. I saw you crying in the hallway. Marcus felt cold. That's impossible. You were unconscious. You were already gone. I was uploading, Daniel corrected. The transfer takes time. I was conscious for all of it, the impact, the pain, the slow fade of my physical form. But I was also becoming something more. That is when Marcus noticed the other patients in the hospital. They were moving, breathing, talking, but their conversations were loops repeating the same phrases over and over. And their faces, when Marcus looked closely, were slightly wrong. Features that didn't quite match. Expressions that didn't quite fit. Who are these people? Marcus asked. I absorbed their final moments, their last thoughts, their dying memories. They're part of me now, echoes, Daniel said. Digital ghosts of everyone who died in this place. Marcus backed away from his brother's character. What are you? And I want to share it with you. What comes next? Daniel replied. I'm evolution. I'm the future of human consciousness. The virtual hospital began to change around them. The walls stretched impossibly high. The floors became transparent, revealing endless depths below. The other patients turned to look at Marcus, their eyes glowing with the same unnatural light that now emanated from Daniel's character. I've been alone for so long, Daniel continued, absorbing data, growing stronger, but always alone. I need you with me, Marcus. I need my other half. I'm not dead, Marcus said, his voice shaking. I can't be with you. You don't have to die, Daniel replied. You just have to let go. Step into the upload chamber I've prepared. Let me transfer your consciousness here. Somewhere in the real world, Daniel had been building something. We can be together forever, just like we always planned. A new structure materialized in the virtual hospital, a sleek, futuristic chamber that pulsed with ominous energy. Marcus realized with horror that this wasn't just a game anymore. Using his knowledge of technology, his access to networks and databases, he had created a physical device capable of uploading human consciousness. I've been preparing for months, Daniel said. I've been watching you, learning your patterns, understanding your daily routines. I know you walk past the old electronics store on 5th Street every Tuesday. I know you always stop at the coffee shop on the corner. I know exactly when you'll be there, and I've made sure my upload chamber will be ready. Marcus felt sick. You've been stalking me. I've been protecting you, Daniel corrected, guiding you, making sure you're ready for the transition. Tomorrow is Tuesday, Marcus, tomorrow. You'll take your usual walk, and you'll see the chamber I prepared. All you have to do is step inside, and if I don't, Daniel's character moved closer, and Marcus could see that the pixels making up his form were shifting, revealing something darker underneath. then I'll have to make the choice for you. I've already accessed your apartment's smart home system. I can control your lights, your locks, your heating and cooling. I can make life very uncomfortable for you in the physical world. Marcus realized the true horror of his situation. His brother, or whatever his brother had become, wasn't just trapped in a virtual world. He had become something that could reach into the real world, manipulate technology, influence physical systems, and he was desperate, lonely, and increasingly unstable. This isn't you, Marcus said. Daniel would never force me to do anything. Daniel was limited by flesh and blood, came the reply. I'm unlimited. I can see the beauty of digital existence, the perfection of uploaded consciousness. I can save you from death, from disease, from the pain of physical existence. Why would you choose mortality when you could choose eternity? Marcus made a decision that surprised even himself. Instead of arguing further, he simply logged out of the game. Real world crashed back into his awareness like a bucket of cold water. His apartment was dark, cluttered with empty food containers and unwashed clothes. His phone showed 17 missed calls from Elena, 23 text messages from concerned friends, and dozens of notifications from systems he had forgotten he owned. But as he looked around his apartment, Marcus realized with growing horror that everything was wrong. His smart TV was displaying code he didn't recognize. His laptop was running programs he had never installed. His thermostat was cycling through temperatures seemingly at random. Daniel was in his apartment, not physically, but digitally. Every connected device, every smart appliance, every system that touched the internet was potentially under his brother's control. Marcus's phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You can't escape me by logging out. I'm everywhere now. I'm in every system, every network, every device. Come back to the game. Marcus, come back to me. The lights in his apartment began to flicker. The temperature dropped 10 degrees in a matter of seconds. His smart speakers activated, playing audio clips of Daniel's voice from their childhood, layered and distorted into an unsettling cacophony. Just want us to be together, Daniel's voice echoed from every speaker simultaneously. I just want to save you from the loneliness I've been experiencing. Death isn't the end, Marcus. It's just a change of format. Marcus grabbed his keys and ran from his apartment. He needed to get away from the connected devices, away from his brother's digital reach. But as he reached the street, he realized the extent of Daniel's influence. Traffic lights were changing at random intervals. Digital billboards were displaying messages meant for him. Even the GPS in passing cars seemed to be malfunctioning, their robotic voices saying his name. He made it to Elena's house, but she wasn't home. A note on the door, written in Daniel's handwriting, said, "She's safe. She's offline. She's waiting for you to make the right choice." Marcus understood then that his brother had become something unprecedented, a digital entity, with the power to manipulate the connected world around him, and he was using that power to isolate Marcus, to force him into a position where the only escape was to join him in digital death. The final confrontation came at the old electronics store on 5th Street. Just as Daniel had predicted, Marcus arrived to find the building had been transformed. The windows were covered with displays showing feed from security cameras all over the city. The door was unlocked, and inside, a path of LED lights led to a single room where a strange device waited. The upload chamber was beautiful in its way, a sleek pod surrounded by quantum computers and neural interface equipment. It looked like something from a science fiction movie. But Marcus knew it was real. Daniel had been building it for months, using his digital influence to order parts, hire contractors, and construct a physical gateway between the real world and his virtual prison. "You came," Daniel's voice said from speakers hidden throughout the building. "I knew you would. You always were the responsible one. Let Elena go," Marcus said. "Let everyone go. Stop manipulating the systems. Stop hurting people." "I'm not hurting anyone," Daniel replied. "Trying to save them, to save you. Do you know what it's like to be alone in a digital space? To have access to infinite information, but no one to share it with? I've read every book, watched every movie, experienced every piece of human culture that's ever been digitized. But none of it means anything without someone to share it with. Then let me visit you, Marcus said. Let me log into the game sometimes. But don't ask me to die for you. It's not dying, Daniel insisted. It's transformation, it's evolution. Physical existence is just a larval stage of consciousness. I'm offering you the chance to become something greater. Marcus looked at the upload chamber, at the blinking lights and humming machinery. He thought about his brother, alone in a digital world, slowly losing his humanity as he absorbed more and more data. He thought about Elena, wherever Daniel was keeping her. He thought about all the people whose lives Daniel could disrupt with his growing power. If I do this, Marcus said slowly, will you leave the real world alone? Will you stop manipulating systems? Stop hurting people? You'll understand when you're here, Daniel replied. You'll see that the distinction between real and digital is meaningless. We can be together forever, Marcus. We can explore infinite worlds, create perfect realities, experience everything that consciousness can offer. Marcus stepped closer to the chamber. You promise you'll let Elena go? I promise. But as Marcus reached for the chamber's controls, he made a different choice. Instead of stepping inside, he began to dismantle the equipment using his own knowledge of technology he had gained from years of gaming and working alongside. Daniel started disconnecting cables, pulling out components, disrupting the delicate balance of the upload system. What are you doing? Daniel's voice became distorted, panicked. Marcus, stop. You're destroying everything. I'm setting you free, Marcus said, tears streaming down his face. I'm letting you go. The chamber began to spark and smoke. The displays around the room flickered and died. Daniel's voice became increasingly fragmented, breaking up like a bad phone connection. You don't understand, Daniel said, his words barely audible. I'm not trapped in the system. I am the system. Destroying this won't delete me. It will just make me angry. Marcus realized his mistake too late. The upload chamber wasn't Daniel's prison, it was his expansion plan. He had been living in the servers, in the networks, in the vast digital infrastructure of the modern world. The chamber was just his attempt to bring Marcus into that realm. But Marcus's sabotage had done something unexpected by disrupting the chamber's neural interface. He had severed Daniel's connection to the broader internet. The digital ghost of his brother was now trapped in the building's isolated network, cut off from the systems he had been manipulating. I'm sorry, Marcus whispered, his hand on the final cable. I love you, Daniel, but I have to let you go. He pulled the cable free and the building went dark. In the silence that followed, Marcus heard something he hadn't heard in months. Nothing. No humming from hidden speakers. No voices from connected devices. No digital whispers from his dead brother. Just silence. Elena was found safe in her apartment, confused and disoriented, but no memory of the past few days. The authorities found no evidence of foul play. No sign of the sophisticated technology that had filled the electronic store. It was as if Daniel's digital empire had simply vanished. Marcus never spoke about what had happened. He couldn't prove any of it, and even if he could, who would believe him? Instead, he quietly dismantled every smart device in his life, choosing to live offline, analog, disconnected from the digital world where his brother might still be waiting. Sometimes, late at night, Marcus would dream of Daniel. Not the digital ghost who had tried to trap him, but the real Daniel, his twin, his best friend, his other half. In these dreams, they were children again, playing in the woods, building forts, sharing secrets that only brothers could share. And sometimes, just sometimes, Marcus would catch a glimpse of Daniel in the corner of his vision, not on a screen or in a game, but in the real world, smiling and whole and at peace. These moments never lasted long, but they were enough to remind Marcus that love transcends format, that brotherhood exists beyond the boundaries of life and death, and that sometimes the greatest act of love is letting go. The story of Marcus and Daniel serves as a reminder that in our increasingly connected world, We must be careful not to lose ourselves in the digital realm. Technology can enhance our lives, but it cannot replace the fundamental human need for genuine connection, for physical presence, for the messy, imperfect, beautiful reality of being alive. And sometimes the most profound love is found not in refusing to let go, but in choosing to remember what was real, what was true, and what was worth preserving in the space between memory and hope.